Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rich Purcell. I'm an associate professor here at Carnegie Mellon University in the English department. I'm also the interim director of the Writing Awards this year. Jim Daniels, who has been doing this since 1999, usually is the MC for this part, but I'm standing in for him because he is out of the country this year. And I'm also here, more importantly, to introduce Dean Richard Shyness, who has a very tough act to follow with his remarks, because that was an incredible performance. Thank you for that. Wow. Dean Shyness became the Dean of Dietrich College in July of 2014, and before that, he served as the head of the Department of Philosophy since 2005. Dean Shyness joined the CMU faculty in 1999 and has additional appointments in the Machine Learning Department and Human-Computer Interaction Institute. His research focuses on casual discovery, the philosophy of social science, and educational technology and online courses. And just as a personal aside, Dean Shyness also this summer put a lot of the weight of Dietrich College in support for the Writing Awards this year, and we are all really indebted in the commitment that he's shown to continuing this incredible event and having these incredible students come and read for us, which is going to come very soon. So it's my pleasure to turn this over to Dean Shyness.
Well, thank you all for coming out. It's a great turnout, and given the temperature I experience when I walk over, that's really encouraging. So welcome to the Martin Luther King Writing Awards, in particular to students and families who may be on the Carnegie Mellon campus for the first time. The Martin Luther King Jr. Writing Awards at Carnegie Mellon were established in 1999 as part of Carnegie Mellon's annual celebration of the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. As Rich said, they were created by English professor Jim Daniels, and he usually directs the awards program, but this year he's on leave, and Rich Purcell has filled in and done a great job. Let's give him a hand for having done such a great job. So the Writing Awards are in their 17th year, and they're the mainstay of Carnegie Mellon's MLK Day celebration, which this year is expanding to include new events and programs throughout January and February. The awards are an important aspect of Carnegie Mellon and the Dietrich Colleges of Humanities and Social Sciences commitment to diversity. The writing contest is open to all high school and college students in the Pittsburgh-area and is designed to encourage local students to reflect on their personal experiences with race and discrimination. The awards program continues to expand its reach throughout the community. In yesterday's Sunday Post-Gazette, for example, Winchester Thurston Jr. Charu Bailey's powerful autobiographical piece, Making Sense of What Killed Me, was published prominently in the op-ed section of the paper. It was heartbreaking, but also honest and also beautiful, and I suppose that's the point. In my view, diversity is an incredibly important and incredibly complicated topic, and one that will not admit of any sort of short and quick fix. Instead of thinking in those terms, I prefer to commit to the longer view, and a crucial part of the longer view is a commitment to have an ongoing conversation, really a series of conversations. And the MLK Writing Awards is a wonderful forum within which to do this, and for people like me especially, a great venue within which to listen more than we speak. So without further ado, let me ask Rich to return to the stage and start the ceremony. Thanks again for coming out.
Before I start announcing the winners, I'd like to just make a couple of very quick remarks, and my remarks are basically going to be acknowledging and pointing out the people who make this award happen. I feel like it's my duty, even though I am the interim director. There's no way in heck that I could possibly pull off any of this on my own. I had a lot of help, and I'd like to spend a little time thanking those who helped me. First and foremost, English department, which I am a part of, my head, Andrea Ritavoy, is here. She's been incredibly supportive this year, and of the word, she's our brand new head. So I'm going to thank her for being a part of this and helping us out. The Division of Student Affairs, the Dietrich College of Humanities and Social Sciences, the Offices of the President, for everyone for the generosity, service, all the help they've given us. President Suresh, Chanel Smith, who I know probably everyone in this room knows. She is a tireless, incredible worker and has really been instrumental in making the awards the event that it is today. And she deserves singular praise for that. So thank you, Chanel, for that so much. Really incredible. Emmett Eldridge, who's not here, who was a research assistant this year, who was really phenomenal, helping me out, dealing with things that fell by the wayside on my watch. Amanda King, who also works in the English department, Emily Stimmel and Shiloh Ray, who work in the dean's office, really helped publicize the event, really helped us put the word out about today's event and bringing attention to these wonderful students that we'll have read today. Kevin Gonzalez, who's an assistant professor in the English department as well, who helped with the judging. Along with Kevin, members of Sigma Tau Delta organization, which is the International Honor Society, Kelsey Doan, Elizabeth Agamang, and also Josh Brown, who's a past winner of the award, helped judge this year and were incredible judges, and I want to single them out as well. And I mentioned Jim Daniels. None of this would be possible if he had not decided to set up an award to have young people think, write, be brave about their experiences of difference and racism and misogyny and all kinds of discrimination that, we all face, unfortunately, in this world, giving them a space and a venue to talk about that and think about that and share it with all of us. So Jim deserves singular praise as well. I wish he was here to be a part of this. Two other, I think, groups of people deserve probably the most praise, and those are teachers who have helped students not only think about these things, but also, and I've met some of them in the audience today, who've given their students the opportunity in classrooms, probably outside of the classroom, to really write and refine what they've written. Cannot thank them enough. And also the students, more importantly, and because that's the reason why I think this is the most invigorating thing I do during the year, is it's always inspiring to read these young people, whether they're college students or high school students, confront the issues that they face every day. And it kind of makes me think about the fact that Martin Luther King Jr. died as a young man. He was 39 years old when he was assassinated, younger than I was. And just thinking about that makes me think about the way that, King led young people to organize, to push for civil rights, to fight Jim Crow. And I think, it's only right that his legacy is extended to an award that, acknowledges young people for having their own sense of bravery as well. And so I think this is why King's legacy is lived through this award, because he's a young man who's empowering young people to continue to fight in the face of injustice. So those are my remarks. I want to thank everyone who's been a part of the awards again, and now it is time for me to start announcing the winners. I'm going to start with the high school students. We're going to take a break between the high school award winners. They're going to come up and read. There's going to be a performance, and then we're going to finish with not finish the program, but we're going to have the college students also come up and accept their awards. So I'm going to start with our honorable mentions. The first honorable mention I'm going to read, this is for the high school students, for prose, Talking About Cards by Kevin Bonner. Come on up, Kevin. Thank you so much. You can, sorry, I'm not very good at giving safe directions, obviously. Our second honorable mention in the high school prose category is Becca Stanton, We Are Normal. Okay, so our third place prose winner for high school is Azizjan Yuldolshev, who's going to read from Proud to Be Different. Azizjan?
All right, so this is Proud to Be Different. Like it was yesterday, I remember seeing my mother walk out of the president of the school's office. I sprinted out of my brightly painted first grade classroom in my blue turtleneck. That was a tad too tight, and my khaki pants covered in grass stains to see my mom slowly walking out of the first door to the left in the hallway of my school. With tears streaming down her face, she picked me up and smiled and said, "It will be okay." As I heard the thunder in the background, she wiped off her tears, and that was the last time I ever stepped into that building. As a 6-year-old, I did not understand why I was kicked out of a Jewish school for being different. But as I got older, I understood that it was not important why I wasn't accepted. The important part of that experience for me was to understand that sometimes people are still holding on to the past, but change is good, and being different is not something to be ashamed about. A couple nights ago, ISIS claimed that all the attacks in Paris were a collaborative effort, planned thoroughly by the extremist group. This demonic group slaughtered hundreds of innocent, unsuspecting people with no remorse for their actions. I felt extreme sorrow for the lives lost in not only Paris, but in Iraq and Lebanon as well. However, while using the social media network Twitter, I was shocked to see the hashtag Muslims trending third worldwide after the hashtag Pray for Paris and the hashtag ISIS. I knew instantly that these tweets were going to be insensitive remarks directed at all Muslims. Following those nefarious attacks from an extremely radical Muslim group, from people who believed that all Muslims as a whole were responsible for the terrorist attack by ISIS. After a long night of scrolling through what I thought to be an endless amount of hurtful and demeaning tweets, I decided to go to sleep in hopes that when I awoke, Twitter would be a hate-free community that was accepting of all religions. I woke up to have my hopes and faiths in the Twitter community fulfilled. The new number one trending topic on Twitter was the hashtag Muslims are not terrorists. This boosted my spirits and showed me and all of Twitter users worldwide that there were a lot of people trying to spread awareness about Islam. Every single tweet I read with the hashtag Muslims are not terrorists were from users attempting to teach the Twitter community about Islam and the vast differences between radical and regular Muslims. This experience showed me that even on such a large scale, with 255,000 people tweeting hateful things about Muslims, there are always people who care enough to try to stop racism and educate people. These individuals can prevent people from acting upon their own ignorance and allow them to understand issues before discriminating further. Change and difference are inevitable in everyone, but to quote philosopher Edmund Burke, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. Thank you.
All right. Reading the second place high school prose winner, Making Sense of What Killed Me, Ciara Bailey.
Hi, this is Making Sense of What Killed Me. It started in preschool. Like any adventurous 4-year-old, outdoor playtime was the highlight of my day. I had my best friend by my side as we played countless games, tapping into our vast imaginations. I didn't know she was white. I didn't even fully understand that I was black. All I knew was that with her, I could be myself. But everything changed when she suddenly stopped playing with me. I asked, "What's wrong? Can we still play together?" She told me, "You can't play with me because you're not white." Puzzled, I glanced at the calloused, whitish palms of my hands and replied, "But I am white, see?" I'm trying to recall what happened after this, but I can't remember. I just know that I never spoke to her again. Even 12 years later, this experience weighs heavily on my heart. Sometimes I wonder if that conversation impacted her as much as it did me. On that day, I learned that I was bad because I was black. I doubt she even remembers those simple yet hateful words I can never forget. I hate racism because at 4 years old, I felt unwanted. As an 8-year-old, I learned that dark skin is bad. I remember in 3rd grade, there was a boy in my class with very dark skin. He was always the go-to person to make fun of. One day at lunch, I was sitting with a large group of people, and among them was the dark-skinned boy. Per usual, people were bothering and laughing at him. I couldn't stand to see this go on any longer, so I told them to leave him alone. "Who cares how dark his skin is? Back off," I was pretty brave, I think. But someone responded, "Sierra, you have ugly dark skin too, and you know it." 6th grade was the year that racism really got a hold of my spirit. I hated how I looked, and at 12 years old, I was suicidal. Looking in the mirror with tears streaming down my hot, red face, I grabbed a pen and paper and wrote down all the reasons I hated myself. Now I realize that this list was just a compilation of typical Black physical features. I wanted to kill myself because of internalized racism, Eurocentric beauty standards, and colorism. This experience is so painful to talk about. I rediscovered this list in my cluttered room about a month ago. I cried for the old me. I was in so much pain at such a young age. I hate racism because this is a battle I will have to fight forever. In 10th grade, I found a solid group of supportive and like-minded friends. Most of them are Black girls who have some of the same stories and experiences as I do. Finally, in my predominantly white school, I feel comfortable in my skin. I'm glad that I don't constantly feel the need to conceal my Blackness anymore. I'm in 11th grade now, and in so many ways I've healed since preschool, but it's a difficult and never-ending journey, at least for me. Even subconsciously, I carry the heavy burden of these negative experiences in my everyday life. This is me trying to make sense of what killed me, but in many ways, I'm alive again. I'm alive because I've grown into a strong Black girl who has learned to question everything she's told. I'm alive because my struggles have pushed me to boldly redefine who I am. I know that my painful journey can help people just like me. My race does define me. My experiences do define me. No one can take that away from me. My identity is a prize, and my story is the most valuable thing I own. Thanks to what killed me, I'm alive. Thank you.
All right, now our first place prose winner, Taylor Thomas, Black Tigers.
I remember one time I heard someone claiming to be colorblind. Not the kind that makes it hard to tell red from green, but the kind that supposedly stops one from seeing race. It's silly to pretend that true colorblindness can ever truly be achieved. To ask someone to enter a room without noticing the differences between the people around them is completely unreasonable. Back in prehistoric times, noticing environmental differences is what kept us alive. Today we continue to notice differences, not necessarily for survival, but rather so that we can assess and safely navigate through different social situations. We all do it, so why all of the fuss when it comes to race? The colorblind perspective attempts to simplify a very complicated topic, and often comes from people who don't have to think about color. Because skin color has never been an issue for them, they decide it's not real for anyone. They can simply bury their heads in the sand like ostriches and hope that maybe if we stop talking about the problem, it will go away, but this is not the case. Those who label themselves as colorblind are attempting to not see color, but in reality, it is what allows them to avoid seeing injustices. I can't really blame these ostriches for burying their heads in the sand. Talking about race is difficult for all parties involved, but I've also seen the alternative, complete and utter silence on both ends, and it isn't much better. I have attended a mostly white school for most of my life, and although silence around racial issues is not uncommon, I will admit that I've been lucky. Many Black kids, especially Black girls, struggle socially when they attend mostly white private schools. I don't blame the administration of my school, at least not anymore, for their decisions, because I know that their job is to keep the peace. But that kind of attitude that many have, that we should avoid calling attention to ourselves by talking about race, is a dangerous one. This attitude brings the peace that the administration wants so badly, but this kind of peace, as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would describe it, is a negative peace. It is a peace that allows white students to keep their heads in the sand and to condemn those of us who dare threaten the security of their willful ignorance. It is a peace that allows those in charge to only do what is necessary to calm rough waters without targeting the source of the problem. It is a peace that silences the voices of those who want to educate their peers but are afraid of creating conflict. It is a peace that values white feelings over the importance of Black voices. When we talk about race, we are going to call attention to ourselves. We are going to make waves. But I would rather be at the center of attention, at the heart of the battle, than be a spectator to a negative peace. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to read the winners of the high school poetry category of our MLK Awards this year. I'm going to start with the honorable mentions. There's an honorable mention to David Hand for authenticity. David, are you here? Come on up. Congratulations. And another honorable mention for Lost Heritage by Biana Klein Costa. All right, now to the third place winner, who unfortunately will not be able to join us today, Microaggression by Irana Bucher. Let's give her a round of applause. Second place, Poetry High School, Questions for a Black Mother by Suhail Garbe Gonzalez.
This is Questions for a Black Mother for Ayanna Monet Stanley Jones. Mommy, mommy, what's a police state? A SWAT team launches a flashbang grenade through a window. It shatters out a song, and the orchestra of Cop Blue Night feeds in through the broken glass. See, we're in the colored section, 2010, boarded up windows. Graffiti pops on the side of abandoned buildings, no playgrounds here. Weeds grow tall instead. Mommy, mommy, what's apartheid? The grenade has burnt up the edge of a Disney princess blanket. They kick down the door and plunge into the house. An officer's gun cocks back. Bang. A bullet slices through the air, and it makes home in a 7-year-old's head. She's asleep on the couch next to her grandmother. It obliterates fresh knowledge, how to spell cat and how 2 + 2 = 4. The SWAT team kicked down the door, and the little black girl was sleeping. She was playing dead anyway. She wasn't alive anyway. She wasn't human anyway. Black bodies plastered on TV screens, cracked backs, gunshots, turning clocks, and every minute the pool of blood soaks deeper. Autopsies, genocide by proxy, and these very urban soldiers appear smiling on the 11 o'clock news. Their badges shine. Mommy, mommy, what's desensitization? Fluorescent lights spin. Red carnations bloom on the little girl's pillow. Her grandmother holds her and weeps. January 2015. The officer who fired the gun is acquitted of all charges. Tears flood all of Detroit. The news spews distortion. Ayanna's grandmother reached for the gun. Did you mistake her hand flying out to stop the bullet? Maybe she was reaching for survival, for humanity, for protection. The news spews the logistics of these ballistics, offering explanations for murder, but it's simple. Since slave ships first docked here, the wombs of black women have been graveyards for their future children. Fate sealed by the effigy of their race, because black children are always black before innocent. But Officer Joseph Weekly's mother smiled and beamed when he joined the police force, saying he has so much promise. Thank you.
All right. Our first place poetry winner for high school, the title of the poem is Wife by Hannah Keisler.
This is Wife after Jamaica Kincaid. Wear red dresses and yellow latex gloves. Choke yourself with a noose of delicately brilliant pearls, and finger the scars like a chocolate diamond necklace. Never wear ripped stockings, never wear fringe or lace, you slut. Be humble and meek, seen, not heard. And when you do speak, share gossip, beef stew recipes. Tell me about Grandma's county fair cobbler. Does molasses stain cotton? Curl your hair every day and then tie it away from your face. Never let him see you sweat. Get excited over aprons, watch infomercials, and then call your girlfriends to brag about your latest infomercial gadgets. Never stop working, never set down the sponge. Lotion your hands twice a day to help with the bleeding. Get down on your knees, polish the china, dinner is at 5 o'clock. Buy lingerie, sexy black lingerie, and surprise him after work. Wear it that night and every night after that, and any other time that he tells you. Thank you.
As a break in between our two high school and college award ceremony, can we give another round of applause for the high school winners? I think we could not host this type of event within our campus community without hearing this particular song, which was very important to the civil rights movement. Miss Rakila Durham, a junior musical theater major from Atlanta, Georgia, will come forward for us and sing a rendition of Lift Every Voice and Sing. And for those who know the verse and lyrics to this, feel free to join us in singing Lift Every Voice and Sing. Thank you so very much, Rakila.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the roaring seas. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has brought us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun till our new day is begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Thank you.
It is my pleasure to introduce the college categories for the Martin Luther King Jr. Writing Award. I'm going to start with the prose category, and we have an honorable mention there, Understanding the Details by Cordell Collins. All right, I'm going to start with our third place prose category winner, college category, Missing Words by Juliana Marchese.
Missing words.
There's no feeling quite like the moment when your friend makes a cringe-worthy joke about another race. This is an age-old dilemma on which plenty of YouTubers and activists have counseled, some even offering a phrase to help you show your disapproval without seeming uncool. I attest that I have found a few quips to help me in this situation in the English-speaking world. I recently had the opportunity to stay in Italy for a month. Despite being an incredible growing experience, culture shock does not even begin to describe my interaction with the racial climate of Italy. It is one thing to be uncomfortable in a situation in America where you have the ability to say something, but what can a person do when their vocabulary is so limited, such as my Italian vocabulary? Through my family, I had met a couple of friends that lived in Syracuse, two thrill-seeking boys about my age, Mattia and Andrea. They took me on a few adventures in the little time that I had. These guys were all about the adrenaline rush, and I don't mean the mild kind that you get from riding roller coasters. The first time I hung out with them, they took me cliff diving. The next time I hung out with them, they took me rollerblading through Syracuse. I rode a scooter. We reached a point where I needed a break, my legs were tired, and cobblestone roads are not ideal for riding a scooter on. We stopped on a sidewalk across from vendors selling bags, hats, and sunglasses. Street vendors in Italy were almost always either Black or Middle Eastern. Mattia turned to me and asked, "Juliana, are you racist?" I was startled by this inquiry. To me, this seemingly simple question was actually quite complicated. I thought, of course I am not a racist, but everyone experiences slight racist tendencies sometimes. The important thing is that we are conscious of our bias, whether they are innate or socially conditioned, and we fight against them. This is what happened in my head. What came out of my mouth was, "I hope not." Mattia looked at me and said, "I am racist, but only since living in America." What it was about his experience in America that made him identify as a racist, I will never know, because immediately after saying this, he rolled away across the crosswalk. If this were a fictional story, I would have written that eventually I caught up to him and confronted him about his statement. I would have written that I explained to him the poverty cycle and the systematic oppression of Black people, that I explained the incredible history of civil rights and Beyoncé. Furthermore, I would have written that I did all of this in perfect grammatical Italian. Unfortunately, I am recounting the true events of my experience in Italy, and what actually happened was this. We eventually stopped again on another street corner where my Zia was to pick me up to leave. I hugged both of the boys goodbye, and I wouldn't see them again for the rest of my stay in Italy.
All right, our second place winner, college prose, Hyunho Yoon. The title of his prose piece, What's in a Name? Quite a Lot. Is Hyunho here? He didn't, okay. Well, let's give him a round of applause anyway, even though he's not here. All right, our first place prose winner, college. The title of the piece is Acceptance by Kelly Kim.
Acceptance. Table for one, please, I said. Amy led me to a 4-person table. I noticed a stack of newspapers on the side, and I began to read a book review on the story of the lost child. I thought of my 5-year-old self as a lost child in a foreign country, oblivious to the inevitable difficulties of being an immigrant. My beginnings in New Zealand were defined by long afternoons spent tracing letters and practicing the lingual gymnastics required to speak English fluently. But as years went on, I realized that acceptance is far more complicated than the mere fluency of a language. In boarding school, I was constantly asked, "Where are you really from?" as if my answer of New Jersey was unacceptable, and my skin would not allow me to be anything other than Korean. They said, "Wow, you're different," complimenting me for being Asian but not a stereotypical one. My entire life living as an Asian in non-Asian countries was all about proving myself to other people. When my peers believed that I wouldn't be good at English, I signed up for the school newspaper and the magazine. When they joked how Asians don't join sports because they're too busy studying in the library, I signed myself up for both rowing and squash. While I was proving my Americanness, I was having trouble proving my Asianness. I spent many afternoons hovering over SAT books, and I scrutinized my body for not being the idealized 90 pounds. Living a life like this was so lonely and painful. Pretending with a smile to be perfect by both American and Asian standards, when really inside I felt like an outsider to both cultures. I was slowly breaking down. I had concealed my true self in an effort to shield myself from vulnerability and imperfection. The decisions I had made many years ago had now led me to a restaurant in Pittsburgh, trying to conceal my nervous feelings for starting college. But there I began to question why I needed the acceptance from others, why I wasn't open to being a blend of two cultures, why was I so afraid of being myself. I wondered what it would be like to enter college as myself, with both flaws and talents, and pursue what I was passionate about. There was no guarantee that I would be successful or make friends, but I was for the first time willing to take a risk and be open to vulnerability, to others, and to myself. "Hi, honey," I heard a voice say. I looked up, and the waitress Amy, with a pen and notepad in her hands, looked back at me. "Are you ready?" I faced her with a genuine smile and a swiftly beating heart. "Yes," I responded excitedly.
All right. Last but not least, we have our college poetry category. Third place winner, Florence Beggar by Emily Charlson.
Florence Beggar, marvel at marble, David was born in this heat by God's hands. His body for battle is unshelled, except for a coat of birds he is naked. Leaping from his shoulder, a bird lanes a few hands away, searching the naked streets for a marble of crumbs. Heated, he shells his head in a hole, sheltered. I understand the bird's hatred of the heat, and I call to him, bread in hand, my laughter like marbles, pure and naked. I see a beggar with naked hands, copper like coins, her unshelled breasts, round like marbles, wobble as she washes like a bird, cupping water in her hands to cool from the heat. Color drains from her nude lips, and she turns pink as shells as she sees me. I am perfect marble to her, a powerful bird, and in my hands I clutch a water bottle heated by her sun. I am heated, angry at myself, the naked truth. These are soft hands, and hers are rough as shells. She does not know I laugh at the bird, not her, and like a marble she rolls into herself. Heat marbleizes this. Her naked face, scared as a bird, her hand shall clamp a sweaty rag.
All right, second place poetry competition for the college. Title of the poem is How I Came to Be an American by Charu Sharma.
How I Came to Be American. And I was born with 10 toes, and I was born with 10 fingers, 2 eyes, and 2 ears, and 1 heart, or so they say. And I was born red in the heart, and I was born blue in the brain, like police sirens, like a box of rocket popsicles, like a true American. And it betrayed my brown skin, colored like the monsoon mud, like the dry cracked earth, like July in Rajasthan, like Cadbury Dairy Milk chocolate bars from the Indian store, like mehndi, like henna on a new bride's arms, elbow deep in commitment. Like my mother and her mother and her mother who learned to choke before she learned to speak, like the temples we've inscribed our histories into, like brown paper bags so used to expanding for the deep breaths of others. And my heart shouted at that skin, my brain chanted over its delicate and carefully crafted Sanskrit script, USA, USA, USA. And so my parents named me American, or so they say. Thank you.
All right. First place, college poetry, Sushi Aoshinis by Kevin Lee.
You probably think you've seen me sipping bubble teas, walking Pekingese and other small breeds across these city streets, kicking it with Mr. Miyagi in the backseat of my Honda Accord SE, puffing poppy seeds, bumping Far East, and always acting accordingly. I'm that young Bruce Lee with the buck teeth and Coke bottle frames that don't know he know how to sing. But you know I know when that hot rind bring. I'm the karaoke king with that 4-inch thing. I'm that chink in the back pew trading Yu-Gi-Oh cards for Pikachus. I'm that dude with the kimchi stains on his Canada Goose Fu Manchu dripping down to his Jimmy Choo shoes. For some reason, I'm not the person you know, but the guy that you see. But if you ever want to get to know the real me, I'll be sipping soju like it's iced tea on the corner of Mott Street eating sushi with Mr. Yuniyoshi. Thank you.
I got so caught up in listening, I forgot to give you this. Can we have one more round of applause for all of our winners? Fantastic.